13. Pray then in this way: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And do not bring us to the time of trial, but rescue us from the evil one. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
My friends, today we will have 3 testimonies from 3 of our great servants, and we're going to wrap their meditations in a song. So I would ask that you would open your hymnals now to number 593, and let us sing together the first verse of Here I Am, Lord.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will stay. I will make the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright, who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. This is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord. If you lead me, I will hold your people in my heart.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Witkowski, and I was asked to speak today about our Brazil mission trips. And when Clarence asked me to speak, one of my first questions was, how long do I have? He said, well, the Redskins game's at 1, so you're good till about 12:55. That's enough time for everyone to get home, right? But in all seriousness, I've got a few minutes to share with you. Our church has gone to Brazil probably about the last 10 years or so. We're involved with a program called the Shade and Fresh Water Project. I've gone the last 6 years and led the last 3 teams. We'll be going again next summer and taking the youth group with us. What we do down there, there was a social issue that the United Methodist Church in Brazil tried to solve. And that is, there was great child prostitution and drugs. The children are in school 4 hours a day. They come home, both parents work. There's no supervision. And so the Methodist Church down there tried to solve the problem. They established centers for the children to go while they're not in school, to have adult supervision, to be watched, to be fed, to have a little Christian education. And we go down there and we do construction work. We help build these projects. We've built churches. We've built apartments for pastors. We've built kitchens. We've built bathrooms. You name it, we've built it. But it's about relationships at the end of the day. And so in trying to think about what to share with you about the mission work today, there's so many things that go on. And there's so much to share. And it's hard to put into words. And what I decided to share were a couple things, not so much about what happens down there, but the effects when you come back from mission work. And the first one has to do with materialism. It's a common problem, Northern Virginia, United States. We want things. I want this, I want that. My neighbor has a new bedroom. I want to build another bedroom. They want the new BMW. We've heard about that one. My friend at school got a new iPhone. I want the new iPhone. And it's a lesson that we commonly hear, and yet we're constantly working on ourselves over it. But it's a different experience when you get to go and see it. And that is, you go down there, and you have these new friends who don't have a whole lot. They don't have much in the way of materialism, but they live pretty happy lives. They're happy about their relationship with God. They're happy about their family, and they want to share with you. And so you get to see that in practice. And that helps you when you come back and you start thinking about what you want. And instead of, I want this, or I think I need this, you look at it differently. You put it in the collection plate for December maybe, and you're trying to find a way to do that, or you're trying to find a way to have the money to go back next year. And so the materialism, it's something we hear about a lot, but once you get to see it in that way, you get the lesson a lot differently. The other thing I wanted to talk about is what I call centering yourself. In Northern Virginia, it's very common. We live busy lives. We're working. We're taking our children or our grandchildren to this activity. We're going to a meeting at church. And we're constantly focused on what's ahead of us right there. And it's hard to find time to step back and focus on our relationship with God. And how many times have we sat in the sanctuary and we hear the sermon, and we're thinking about work on Monday, we're thinking about what meal we're going to make Sunday afternoon or the Redskins game. And it's hard to focus on that. But when you go on mission work, you can really take a step back. And there's always time to be there by yourself and think about how you're leading your life, how you can improve it. You have Christian friends who are there with you, who you get to share your stories with, your struggles with. They share their struggles with you. And how you as a Christian approach your problems, or how they approach their problems, and share how to deal with these things. And so it's a good time to be able to step back and do that. And so when I was thinking about speaking this morning and trying to narrow it down to those two things, I summarize it this way. Don't think about what I need, what can I get? And instead, you think, what can I do for my neighbor? And in thinking about it that way, it really helps you to take a step back and approach God in your relationship with Him in a different way. And that's what I've gotten out of mission trips. Our church goes to a lot of different places internationally. We go to Brazil, we go to Haiti, we go to Mozambique on basically an annual basis. We've got the Appalachia Service Project where our church just went. And there's other local missions that you're going to hear about today, but I encourage everyone to take a step back, think about what speaks to you, and try a different mission. And if that one doesn't speak to you, try another one. There's so many opportunities at this church that so many people are involved in. And look for one for you, and it's going to change your relationship with God too.
My friends, we sing together now the second verse of Here I Am, Lord.
Good morning. Do you ever think what you would do if you met Jesus? Would you invite him into your home? Offer him a bed to sleep in? A meal to eat? You do that. Yes, sir. Would you do that for a homeless person? Do you ever think about the fact that Jesus was a homeless person? 11 years ago, Al Burris brought to the Missions Committee the opportunity to host the homeless in our church as part of a newly established hypothermia response program. The previous winter, at least 3 people had died from exposure. There was no shelter in the central part of the county, and it was looking to establish a network of churches to provide temporary relief. For those of you who were here, you will remember that there was very little guidance, very little professional support, and no history. It was a life-changing experience. I have to admit, I had avoided the homeless vagrant on the corner or on the subway grate. It was often smelly, dirty, probably a druggie or alcoholic, concerned that if I gave them money, they would just drink it away. I had no connection, no understanding, no guidance on how to deal with them. Except, I really had complete direction. I just wasn't paying attention. If you do a Google search on the Bible and homelessness, there's at least 38 verses that address it. And by the way, they all say it's our job to help. In Matthew 8:20, Jesus said, "Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Jesus was homeless. So let's think about that. He was a poor man, no home, probably smelly and hungry from walking as much as he did. He said things that people thought were nuts. Sound familiar? When I think about it this way, all of a sudden, the homeless person starts to look different to me. Through the experience of hosting the homeless here for the last 10 years, I've learned a lot. I've sat up all night talking with our guests. I've gotten to know some of them pretty well. And just as I cannot know your story just by looking at you, I've learned that I have no idea what circumstances brought him to this condition. It could be mental illness, it could be learning disabilities, addiction, divorce, job loss, an accident that caused incredible medical bills. It could even be the inability to earn a living wage. I've learned that I don't get to judge. It doesn't always stop me, but I try. I have learned that not all homeless smell, and that mostly they just want a sense of normalcy that I experience every day. That I can eat when I'm hungry, that I can get medical attention when I need it, that I have a warm, safe, and dry place to lay my head at night. I've also learned that as a Christian, as I strive to live more like Jesus, and believe me, I've got a long way to go, that I am called, that we are called, to serve the hungry and thirsty stranger. See Matthew 25. I have learned not to say that there but for the grace of God go I, because the homeless person has every bit as much grace from God as I do. I have learned that it is not enough to open our doors once a year and invite them in. We have a responsibility as human beings and a mandate as Christians to help change the conditions which cause these situations, whether it's fighting for affordable housing or mental health services. I have to reconcile the fact that I have been able to amass the comforts of my life while my neighbor sleeps outside and eats out of trash cans. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. It's not fair. I fail miserably at doing this every single day. I don't know if I've made a difference in the life of any individual homeless person, but I do know that with God's help, they have transformed me to think differently about mission, to be in relationship, to not judge, and to not just throw money at a problem, but to look at the ways to change the conditions that cause them. They've taught me to look at them as if they were Jesus.
Amen. My friends, we continue our meditation singing verse 3 of Here I Am, Lord.
I the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame, I will set a feast for them, my hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you
My name is Betsy Clevenger, and I want to start by telling you how much I love this church and this congregation because you have a heart for mission. You serve, you donate, you serve, you volunteer, and people are helped by the people here who give and give and give. Thank you for all of your support for mission. I'm going to represent local missions in our area, and I'm here to talk about several of the programs that we run to serve our Annandale neighbors. I recently met a woman who has a food pantry in Woodbridge, and when I spoke to her of our program, she said, "Annandale's a rich city." Well, maybe the degree of need in Annandale would surprise you also. There are hundreds of families living in subsidized housing in the Heritage Drive neighborhoods. I don't have figures for this year yet, but last school year, Braddock Elementary School had 900 students. 600 of them qualify for free lunch. Poe Middle School had 67% of their children on free lunch. That's 2 out of every 3 children who qualify to get free lunch and breakfast at school to try to keep them going and being good students. Every Thursday, we distribute donated food to between 60 and 70 families at the Heritage Drive campus. We get donated food from a variety of sources, so we are a supplemental food program. We don't give them a week's worth of groceries or even a meal. We don't cook. We simply are exchanging food that is donated by our church, by scouts, by school organizations, by community groups, by other businesses, and providing it to the families that can get to the Heritage Drive campus. Oftentimes, these people are fully employed in maybe multiple minimum wage jobs. And in order to be able to afford to keep their families, food becomes the necessity that is skimped on. Hungry children are not learners in school. We need to be sure that every child, as well as their parents, have enough to eat that they can grow and thrive in our world. Each week, the residents of a local Sunrise assisted living program donate their time to make 100 sandwiches that they send to us to distribute at the food site. A lot of times, Mom will pick up her bag of sandwiches, reach in and hand a sandwich to a child who has come with her to the site. Often that child sits right down at my feet and gobbles that sandwich down and hands me the empty bag before they leave the site. It has taken a lot for me to get used to that sight and to not cry when I see kids that are hungry enough to grab at the food that's offered. These children are just like the children who sit here. They laugh and they sing, they jump up and down, they hug me when they come in, they tell me what happened in school today or on the playground. And they deserve to eat 3 meals a day, every day. Somehow or another, we have got to do what it takes to make sure that every child in this country has adequate food. Much as I'm concerned with helping these folks feed their families, I am also delighted with the relationships I have been able to form with our folks. Children are not the only ones who hug me. Men and women walk up and hug me and want to tell me about their lives. They thank me, they bless me, they tell me their joys and their problems. They ask me to pray for them or for their families. No matter what their problems are, no matter what they are facing in life, they always thank me for whatever food we have available to give to them. It is astounding how, when we have distributed all the food and are ready to pack up, a family will come in late, and a family that has received food from us will share what they got with the latecomers. Recently, I had a fall, broke some bones, and so I missed 2 weeks at the site. When I was able, I got a ride to the site to see how things were going. I was very moved when, as I came in, the folks who were waiting there rushed to hug me. I had some volunteers who had to stand in front of me to keep me from being hugged to death because they were so excited that a familiar face was back. I was very moved and very excited to know that they identify with me as I'm identifying with them. But the most impressive thing to me was that as things slowed down, 3 Muslim women came up to me in tears because they told me that their God had heard their prayers and had brought me back to the site. I can't imagine a situation where I would have been able to develop that kind of a relationship with those women outside of the food site. I know that God put me at the food site to show his love and to help his children in that place. I was a teacher for 38 years, and one day my doctor said, "You are going to have to retire. You have a brain tumor." I was very surprised. I wasn't ready to retire. I tried a lot of ways to get out of that, but in the end, I retired. And after difficult, just about a year, I had surgery, I had some setbacks, and I had lots of remediation, and I woke up one day and said, "Son of a gun, I'm well. Now what do I do?" Well, the first thing I did was I said, what is the plan? What am I going to do now? Well, for about a week, my prayers got a little less pleasant, I guess, and a little more angry. And I said, "This isn't fair. What do you have in store for me?" And I think I finally got on God's last nerve. And one morning, I jumped out of bed and said, "I need a food ministry." Now, that wasn't my thought, but apparently, like Samuel, in the night, I got a word. I don't want you to have to be kicked out of bed to become a volunteer. If you are not volunteering somewhere, you will get such joy and such a feeling of being one with the world when you go on a mission trip. If you go to Safe Haven, where we serve the homeless at 7 Corners, if you come to the programs at Heritage, along with a lot of other opportunities to serve. Every Thursday night from 5 to 7, volunteers come and set up the food that's been donated, distributed to the people who are coming in need. Every volunteer walks out of there filled with joy and having enjoyed the experience. Please don't think that it's distasteful or that somebody isn't going to be excited to have you there. There are lots of opportunities in our bulletin every week for you to be part of all of the ministries that we have, as well as a lot in the community. One that I do want to speak to is our newest ministry of doing homework and listening to children read Wednesday afternoon as an after-school program. The excitement of dealing with, and anybody can do elementary math. Don't tell me you're not good at math. But the excitement of dealing with kids that are excited to be learning and thrilled to have somebody who reads English so that they can learn the right words and what it means is really a wonderful experience. A volunteer doesn't have to come every week. A volunteer comes when they're available, but you all are welcome and needed and will be loved. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for the support you've given us. God knows, as well as the folks you serve.
And the people of God all said, Amen. Amen. My friends, 3 witnesses, 3 testimonies to what God does in the life of the individual, the transformative thing. The songwriter said, "Here I am, Lord. I have heard you calling." These are individuals who have heard the call of God. And one of the things I'm thankful for is that in this place, as I look around, I see several people whom have responded to the call of God. But unlike other places where the 80-20 rule is in effect, this is where you say, I understand that. Here is more like the 60-40 rule. But there's still 60 that need to respond. And so I pray this day that you have been inspired to respond to the call of God. Why? Because the Lord needs you. But more than that, you need the Lord. Will you open up your hymnals, The Faith We Sing? We will sing our closing hymn, number 2202, Come Away With Me. And as we all do from week to week, please know that the altar is open and you are welcome to come and pray.